Welcome to the True Love Secrets Revealed series. Today, we have with us the most beautiful, funny, and wise Gina Daniels. Gina is a certified intuitive love, dating, and empowerment coach who has an innate sense of human behavior and an instinctive understanding of relationship dynamics. She is the founder of the Love Attractor program for heart-centered women around the world who want to attract in epic lasting love. After suffering heartbreak herself previously, Gina made it her mission to guide other women to success on their love journeys as she is currently celebrating 23 years of marriage to her soulmate. Congratulations, Gina.
Thank
Welcome.
you so much. I actually just a week ago hit 24 years. So,
Oh my goodness.
woo-hoo!
So maybe that's a great way to start. So what is the secret to 24 years? You were a baby.
I was only 5. No, just
Right,
kidding.
right.
I'm 29 forever. You know what? I think the secret is who you pick and who you are, right? That's the secret. You got to become more empowered in order to find true lasting love. You have to come from a place of empowerment because that's attractive and that attracts people, that attracts men in, that attracts people in, right?
Right. Oh my goodness. You opened it with a bang. I will run with that. Choosing the right guy. I like being empowered too, but
Yeah.
choosing, picking the right guy. So how ladies do that? How can the ladies do that? How do they know that they are choosing the right guy? There are any guidelines? Have you figured it out the I don't know, the secret that you can share with them?
Yeah, I do know the secret actually. Again, I didn't know the secret before. I've been in other relationships that didn't work out, and I never call them failures because I truly believe whatever relationships you've been in are just stepping stones to your success if you're learning a long route. And if you're
Mhm.
single right now, it's really important to take some time out to figure out some very particular things. So you really want to figure out what your true requirements are in a relationship. And I'm not talking about, I had a client come to me and like 286 things on a list. Those are not true requirements. True requirements are probably maybe 6 to 8 things that it's like, this person has to have this. And
Right.
you know it's a requirement when you test it. And how do you test a requirement? Well, you test a requirement by saying, if I was in a relationship with someone and this was no longer there, would I break up from that person?
Ah, love that question. Can you say it again, please?
I always forget when I try to repeat it. Yes, so a true requirement is if you were in a relationship and that thing disappeared or that element disappeared, would you end the relationship? And if
Right.
you go no, or well, or what, that's not a requirement. It's not a requirement. And
Right.
then if it's not a requirement, it becomes a need, right? So we really want to look at what our requirements are, and that's where how we should be shopping around in our dating for our man, right?
Right.
Then we look at our needs, and there's emotional needs and there's functional needs. So of course you want those things. That's nice package. Requirements have to be there though. If one requirement is missing for you, it is the wrong person for you.
Right.
100%. And then wants are like icing on the cake. So let me give you an idea about that. When I kind of thought of what my requirements were or my needs were, and I looked at my wants, well, my wants were like I wanted a man to play piano.
Yeah, for real?
Yeah, I did. And you know what? My husband does play piano. I have a piano in my living room. So
Oh, wow.
that was just like an icing on the cake. Think of your wants as an icing on the cake. The mistake most women make is they put all the wants, all the needs, all the requirements, all in one giant list, and they're putting just as much onus on the wants as the requirements. And they are completely two different things.
Right, right, right. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. It's so, so, so important to know that,
Mhm.
because otherwise, if we pick a guy that is the wrong guy, it's just gonna be an uphill battle. It's gonna be work,
Yeah.
and I believe relationships take effort, of course. You and I haven't been married as long as you, but I'm going on 16 years.
Mhm.
So they take effort, but
Yeah.
don't you agree with me that they shouldn't be work? Like
Well,
work, like
I,
it's like
I
a
kind of,
burden.
I look at it a little differently, okay?
Okay.
Because I think most relationships don't have enough play in them, right? So there
Mhm.
should be a lightheartedness, playful thing in them,
Right.
and healthy dynamics, right? So I think when whenever I hear the word work, I don't know what it is for me, but it's like, oh, do I want to do it? Right?
Yes.
So when I think of it, like, you should be playing in your marriage. You should be having fun with each other. You should be laughing with each other. You should be traveling or whatever is fun for you. What is the play that needs to be in there? And working on the things that you need to so that you have healthy dynamics. And so often people come to a relationship, and because of their family of origin, they do not have healthy dynamics at all because they were never given those tools in their toolbox.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Right. Yes. I mean, and this goes for everything, because you're saying that, and my mom is right now visiting, as I mentioned before we started the interview. And the relationship with my mom has been rocky, to say the least. And this time around, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just let go of expectation and just have fun. And don't, and just be playful. Treat her in the same way you treat your husband, I told myself. So, and it's working, it's working. Being more playful, being more, lighthearted. Maybe I was always afraid that I was gonna look shallow in the eyes of my mom, because
Mhm.
she has always been so smart and so strong, and and a name taker, and so super important in our community, that I would have always been afraid to look shallow on her eyes.
Mm.
But I was like, you know what? If she thinks I'm shallow, so be it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have fun. And oh my God, we are having so much fun. And sometimes that happens with men too, that we think, oh my God, if I am in my feminine energy, if I am light and happy and fun, he's going to think I am a bimbo. And, and actually, it's the opposite. It creates playfulness.
Well, Natalia, you really hit on something so important that I think that a lot of people forget to do in the whole dating realm is being authentically yourself. So even with your mom, you're like, this is me. I'm not going to pretend to be something else. I'm not going to be smaller. I'm not going to be, trying to blow myself or be anything, but this is me now. And you're no longer owning if she has an issue with it.
Right.
So how, as I see that in dating, it's the same thing. We go out to date and we fluff our hair up. We want to look our best and we want to put our best foot forward, which is natural, right? Which is
You have
natural.
nice hair, Gina.
But we're like, sometimes we start to become someone we're not because we think that's what that person wants,
Right.
right? But even if you can act like they want, right, and you start to morph yourself into someone else to suit them, well, how long are you going to keep that act up?
Yes. Yes. Plus, it has a double dynamic, because if we do that, if we put a mask and play the act that we are assuming, we don't even know, but we are assuming he wants that. That also, on the other side, it really doesn't build trust, because we are like, oh, if I'm faking it, he's probably faking it too. We project on other people as if it's going out of style. So I think it can be a double sword. Yeah, it can.
Sword, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is, I work with intuition a lot. And I think, you might have an intuitive feeling that something's off, but you might not be able to name it yet. But
Hmm.
that could very well be that someone's kind of being like they got the mask on. They're being a little fake. They're not being their real selves. Like I think you can be authentic and still work on yourself to become your best self, right? So it's not like as long as you're not being somebody else or trying to perform or try to be what they want to be, like be you. And then you can work on your relationship skills, and that's a great thing to do. And being feminine, as you're talking about, Natalia, is one of those things.
Right. So could we say that those are one of the love blocks? I know you talk about love blocks. Could we say that that's one of them?
Yeah, absolutely. Not being yourself, not being authentic is a love block. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
what are the other love blocks that that you
I
see?
love those things. The love block.
Wah, wah, wah. The computer understands. Will you mind sharing what are the other love blocks that you have identified over your years of career?
Yeah, absolutely. Like honestly, these are the love blocks I hear over and over. So these are, there's probably 100 love blocks, but I'm going to give you sort of the main five today. So the first one is like feeling unworthy or unlovable.
Mm.
And so you might be going, no, I don't feel that way. But are you saying things to yourself like, oh, well, I'm too old, or I'm too skinny, or I'm too big, or I'm too this, or I'm not enough of that, right? So you might be using that kind of language. If you are using that kind of language about yourself, I will tell you, you have a love block of unworthiness.
Mm. Right,
Right.
right, right. Yes. About the I am too old. I hear it all the time, and every single decade has different challenges. When I was 20, I had no clue what I was doing. When I was 30, I had the biological clock running behind me. When I was 40, I was like crazy busy. And now I am on my 50s, and okay, now it's all good.
The secret's out.
Figure it out. So I don't know what the challenge is, but or I am too old. Okay, let's put it
Yeah.
there in the 50s. I am too old. Who is gonna want me? And it's so limiting, and it blocks us. In what way, particularly, it blocks us?
Well, it has us, even if we go on a date, we're more reserved back, or we're functioning with that belief in our head. So the minute somebody does something or says something that could have nothing to do with it, like let's use age because you brought that up. So let's say someone's, says, well, it's nice to have met you, but I don't see a match here, and good luck. You're a nice person. Or you're gonna go, oh, it's because I'm too old. That's it. I know it's that. And it might have been nothing to do with that. You could just have been two very decent people, but just not for each other, right?
Right.
So it holds you back. And I think you come with an energy, and in that energy, you're literally wearing that belief on your shirt, and it oozes out. It oozes out in your body language. It
Right.
oozes out in your tone of voice. It oozes out everywhere, because if you have this belief about yourself that's negative because you're operating from a place of unworthiness, you might, not sound as chirpy, or you might be like, you might go to the date like this. So say you have I'm too old, you might be like, all like this, serious,
Right.
right? Whereas if you're like, this is great. And by the way, ladies, I just want to tell you, your 50s and 60s are your second teenagehood, but now you have more sense. You have
Yeah.
more sense in the bank, you got more sense up here. So it's a great time in your life to get into a relationship.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can see that. I mean, God bless my husband. I hope we die together, but I can see how, I feel so good about myself now. And it's a great age. Yes, absolutely. something completely out of on a tangent, but I am from Argentina originally, so I lived half of my life in Argentina, half of my life here in the States. And in Argentina, the way I grew up, you don't tell your age to people. It goes together, a woman. It
Yeah.
goes together with your weight.
Ah,
Nobody asks you your weight or how much you make or your age. That
right.
is something that started to happen when I moved here to the States.
Hmm.
And what leads me to the secondary thought that is, if we have a business, you and I, Gina, have a business.
Yeah.
And you know that we are always learning, always trying to get better, to try learning new languages, to connect better with our audience. So we have to learn how the new generations speak, what kind of words they use, and all that. No, that's part of our job, is to keep ourselves updated. Now, what is wrong with us as women to keep updating ourselves? If we feel like, oh, I'm too old, that could be a genuine feeling.
Yeah.
But look in the mirror. Are you stuck on a hair? I'm sorry, with all my love, okay? But are you stuck on a haircut from the 70s, still from the 80s? Look the way you speak. Are you still speaking like, listening to music again from so if you do have that real feeling that you are too old, upgrade yourself. My main point is, as women for business, we are willing to go the extra mile every single day of the week.
Yeah.
We take so much garbage. And when it comes to creating the most important thing in our life, which is the person we're going to share our life forever, we're like, oh no, I can't change. I can't learn. I don't know. That was a rant. Sorry. I may take it out of the interview.
Was there a question in there?
No, I just share.
Yeah,
It was a rant, literally, but I'm going to take it out.
I think you've gone to something there, and I love your rant because, I think when you get into a certain mindset and you're in that love block, you've got to really look at your energy because I believe age is about your energy level. I really do. I've seen, people that are in their 30s who have less energy of a woman in her 50s or 60s, right? So it's how is your presence? How's your presence showing up? Like you said, yeah, it has to do with some exterior things. Do you still have the same hairstyle from the 80s? Yes. I often think I'd like mine back. I had big puffy hair, right? Are your clothes dated? Like, is that same thing in your wardrobe after 30 years because you just don't want to get rid of it? Yeah, I think it's updating yourself, but I think it's really about how your energy vibe is.
Yes.
Are you full of energy? And so, how do you get full of energy if you're not full of energy? Well, one thing's mindset, right? You want to have an energetic mindset. You want to believe you can do things. You want to believe that something new is fun and not like avoid it like the plague, whether it's a haircut or going out on a different date, doing something different than you typically would.
Right. Yes, that's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for going along with my rant. What is number two?
Number two is releasing your past, right? So
Mm,
many people get stuck in their same old, same old, same old, same old. And they start thinking about the past. They're still thinking about the ex. They're still thinking about what the ex did to them. They're still thinking about, all those bitter emotions they have. And then and because they're in that, again, it's energy, you see, when they're in that energy of being bitter and jaded, that is not sexy. It's not sexy at all. Right. And
right.
you may think, oh, I'm intuitive, but this man over here, he's not intuitive. They still are intuitive. Everybody's intuitive. They still are intuitive. They might not be able to name it like, oh, my intuition is telling me she's a jaded person. But they feel the vibe off of you.
Yes. Definitely, definitely. Men can feel that as much as we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you're telling your clients this, but you never ever go on your date and start talking about your ex, like especially
Oh
your
my
first
God.
date. Please don't.
Oh my God. I remember in my 20s, there was a thing between my girlfriends and I that we will go on dates, and we will be like, we are going to tell him everything that is wrong with us on the first date, so he knows. And I'm like, oh my God.
And did they
What
ever get second dates?
was that?
Did they ever get second dates?
No, they ran away.
They
Imagine.
ran for the hills, yeah.
Total lack of
Yeah.
knowledge and common sense. Yeah.
So then I always look at like, well, what can you do about it if you are one of those people that's hanging on, or you're still ruminating over your past ex or relationship? You know, it's first you've got to make a decision that you are going to let it go, right? That doesn't mean that you have to forgive that person even. It's just like, I'm going to let go of hanging on to these thoughts that are connecting me to this person, right? So sometimes you could do it even with a ceremony, like you could have like a little, invite your girlfriends over and you have wine or whatever, and then you like, I'm gonna let go of Jeff today, right? And then you, whatever you do, you could burn it in a safe bowl, a picture in a safe bowl, or letter, or shred up a letter, and then you just say, I release you, I let you go, Jeff, like something like that. And it can be fun and it can be integrative. And then if you find yourself going back there, you remind yourself that you had this commitment to yourself of letting that go and no longer hanging on to that person or energy about that person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Beautiful. I love the ceremony idea. Very, very good idea. Very good idea.
Thanks.
Number 3.
Number 3 is you're afraid to get hurt.
Oh my God. That's a big one too. Wow, you are nailing.
Yeah, you're so afraid to get hurt that you literally walk around with emotional armor on.
Right.
Right. And which is also going to slide you into that masculine energy, because you're going to be more like a warrior in your mind, right? You'll be like, I'm not going to be vulnerable. You know, I remember many years ago hearing the word vulnerable when I was single and had been out of a bad relationship. Even the word vulnerable made me go, yeah, right. Vulnerable. I wouldn't want to be that, right? So if you have an aversion to the word, you know, you have a love block there. But if you find that you have to keep an emotional distance to someone for quite some time, that's what you've got, that's the energy you're putting out there, then you definitely have that love block going. And it's okay to be discerning. You should be discerning, and you should be looking for your requirements that you have on your list. But you want to be emotionally open. You would be open, like, hey, I'm curious. This is a possibility. And stop asking yourselves. This is one thing I see a lot of clients doing. So they go on a date, and they go, is he my soulmate? That is not the question you want to ask yourself after the first date. You just want to ask yourself, would I like to go on another date with this person?
Right.
Right? Did they appear to meet my requirements or some of my requirements? Was that evidence? So let's have a requirement is you want someone who's super kind, right? Well, did they appear like that? Or were they like bitching at the waitress, right? Like, or were they like gentle and kind, and you could see that that was in them, right? Or it appears to be, because we want to be a little discerning and wait until we see what shows up. But we just want to say to ourselves, do we want to go on that next date?
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
One step at a
Do I
time.
want to go on another date? Do I want to get to know this person more? Now, if you see evidence that they are glaringly don't have one of your requirements, well, then you really need to look at whether you would go on that date again. And I would say no. If you wanted to give it a second go just to confirm it in your mind, fine. But that's why that, 6 to 8 things on our requirements list is super important.
You said 6 to 8 dates. Sorry.
68 things on a requirement.
Oh,
It's
68.
really important. Although, see, Natalia, I think your intuition's popping here today, because here's something that I also tell my clients. Don't expect to have like firecrackers going off and explosions on your first date. It sometimes takes 6 to 8 dates to start to feel that level of attachment to someone, and like, yeah, this person's great, because sometimes what we imagine our soulmate will be like, they don't look that way, right? So we don't think, right?
I agree with you so much. You know, I see it with my clients. I seem to attract two kind of people, some younger women, 25 to 35, that they get a lot of dates because everybody at that age group is on the dating app. So they don't have a problem getting first dates. And then I seem to be coaching women that are more on the 55 to 70.
Mhm.
And those ladies have a little bit more of trouble getting guys contacting them.
Yeah,
So the ones, the younger ones, they just want to, they go on a date, and if they don't like it, they should go to the next one, next. And they resist giving the guy a second chance, and because they can afford it. Now the older ones, because they can't afford it, they follow the coaching, and it never fails. If the guy was nice, if the guy was in his masculine energy, if the guy was polite and was pursuing them, and all, they end up liking him. It takes them a couple of weeks sometimes, but they start to feel like, oh, I like this guy and I can see myself with this guy. So I so agree with what you said. I see it in practice a lot. I wish the younger ladies would be more open to that.
yeah, yeah, I agree, right? And I think sometimes Hollywood does a disservice to us. We watch these
Mhm.
rom-coms and it's like, and they met each other and there was firecrackers and they just felt so amazing. And that's not real life typically, right? You want to have some level of attraction to somebody, right? But attraction grows or minuses like as you get to know someone. As you
Right,
get to know someone who's like super kind and they meet your requirements, you might have thought, like, let's say we put a number on it, that this person was a 6 when you first met them. And then you're like, wow, they're super attractive now. They're a 9 or a 10 after 68 weeks because it
right.
grew as you got to know them. So I think what happens a lot of times is people discard potential matches that might be amazing for them because they don't give themselves enough time to grow in attraction and
Yes,
they want instant attraction.
right. It takes time. It takes time. Everything worth of it takes
Yeah.
time. The instant gratification, it's so unconsciously pushed on us through all the media, but in real life anything good takes time. I started running and I wanted to run the Boston Marathon. It took me 8 years to get to Boston. So it took time and a lot of work and a lot of doing. And it's the same with losing weight, with, creating a relationship, nurturing friendships, building a house takes time, everything. Growing a plant takes time.
Yeah. Well, that's love. When you said about a house, I was just thinking about that when you said that because I'm thinking, really the bottom layer is your requirements, and so that's the foundation,
Right.
right? So you're
Great.
right. You want to make sure that that's there, and then your needs and wants are maybe the walls and the roof of this house. So if you're just being triggered by your wants that are on a very egoic level, like he's hot, right? He's
Yeah.
hot. Oh, he's hot. I want him. He makes me excited when I see him, right? Well, you don't have any foundation. So it doesn't work. And dating apps are amazing in one way. Like you like think about this. It's people in the sky. It's like a catalog of people in the sky, right? They're just
Oh,
out there. It's such a wonderful thing. The other side of it is there's just so much choice. And if you are someone that's in their 20s and 30s and date here, date here, date here, you could keep going next, next. Although even well, he was pretty good, but I think there might be someone even better because he wasn't funny enough or whatever, right? And you could keep flipping through them. And maybe number 5 was your best person, but you didn't take the time to get to know them.
yes, yes. It's so, so important to, I think, to have support and help.
Yeah,
Some
absolutely.
sounding board. It doesn't necessarily have to be a coach like us, but even if it's a mentor, somebody, a woman that is happily married, because it's hard. When we are on our 20s, it's so hard. We think we know it all and we don't.
So true.
Yeah.
Honestly, here's how I live my life now. I only take advice from people that are successful in what I want,
Amen.
right?
Absolutely.
So I really do think, even when you're picking a coach, pick someone who understands not only how to pick a good relationship, but then also has the skills to stay in a good relationship.
Right.
There's two parts to it, right?
Right. Right. There are so many dating coaches that are not married, or even business coaches that they're making money coaching business coaches. And
Yeah.
the last business coach I hired is a dating coach who is successful on her dating business. Because I'm like, I'm not hiding anymore one of these kids that says, like
Uh-huh.
making money out of other businesses.
Right. And really you're walking your talk because you found someone who was specifically successful in a dating arena and you for your business,
Yeah.
and that's who you hired. So if you're single watching this, you should be hiring someone that has been successful as a dating coach,
Yeah.
right? Because sometimes people put their flag up, oh, I'm a dating coach, and they've been in 74 relationships and none of them, there's currently not in one, and they can't keep doing, well, I don't know, there's might be an amiss there, right? Things happen, that's true, but look at the patterns of what happens in that person's life and what success they can bring to you. But I really do think people need mentors. So get a mentor in what you want to succeed in. So if you want to succeed in dating and finding the love of your life and finding someone that actually knows what you need to do, right? Then that to me is most likely a dating coach or a relationship coach of some kind.
Right. Right. Thank you, Gina. So what is the next love block?
Negative beliefs about dating.
Ooh, bring it on.
Well, this is where you start to go, well, Natalia, I really want to fall in love, but all the good ones are gone. All the good ones are gone, and dating hasn't worked for me, and none of these apps work for me, and you get this very negative thing about dating, and I'm sick of going on these dates. So you get very negative about dating. Well, again, this is the energy you're pouring out. So you show up on a date and you've got this belief in your head like dating sucks, or it's not good, or love's not in the cards for me. Do you think you're really showing up in your best energy? No.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so incredibly important, our inner life. We create our life from the inside out, not from the outside in. And as you mentioned before, a man can feel that.
They can feel it. They can
Yeah.
feel it. So you're going to show up on the date. You're going to have negative Nelly face on. Your
Yeah.
negative Nelly vibes are going to go out there. You already made up your mind before you got on the date that all the good ones were gone. So when you show up, you're like half in. You're just like, right? This is the energy vibe you're getting off. So the solution here is you've got to find a much more positive way to think about dating, right?
Mm.
So it could be anything where you could, I think about when I was in labor. I have 3 children. And when I was in labor, I remember the nurse saying to me, as you get these labor pains, and they're not fun, anybody who's had a baby, right? She would go to me, that's one less you have to do. One less, right? So even if a date doesn't work out, you could go, okay, I'm one more closer to my soulmate. Like,
Right.
so see how my change of my attitude changes my energy and my way that I hold myself and present myself. You could think things like you start looking for positive things. So I know so many people that have gotten married, obviously from the dating apps and so forth. I think the online dating plus meeting in person is a good combination, right? I think
Right.
both have a good side to them that you should be doing both. So if you look at it as positive, like, you know, how I was saying, it's like a dating, it's like men in the sky, you know, the trees pick one, like, how good is that? Like, really, you think about like our great grandmothers, like they had to pick the guy in the village, right? And there was only 5 single, and one had like unibrow, and the other one had like
Oh my God.
smelled like goats or whatever. So you really didn't have much choice.
Right. Right. We have it so good now. Oh my God. We have it so good.
Right? And I've had clients that have even found love across the world, like, right?
Ah,
So you're not even, it's not even like, well, I can only find somebody in my little town. No, you can open up your range. You could end up being in love with someone in Paris and end up there. Who knows where life can take you?
yes. 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 It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, I can talk about it a lot, but I want to keep it short. I mean, we have already been talking for a long time, so I'm going to try to shut up. The last one, we have one
Oh,
more to go.
we have one more, and
Okay.
that is expecting perfection.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes. We were talking about that before this session.
Yeah, yeah, expecting perfection. So you're like, you know, well, he has to be making this much money and he has to be this. And well, he was a bit too short and he was, you know, you can get into your head, and I'll guarantee you when you're in that expecting perfection, most likely you are going far beyond your 6 to 8 things and requirements.
Hmm.
You're taking those wants, like my piano thing, wanting a man to play piano. So say if I was in my perfection mode, and I'd be like, well, you'd ask me, I went on a date, and I'd go, well, he's all right. And then you might say, what's wrong? Well, he doesn't play piano, right? So I X him off, right? Or, well, he had red hair. I X him off, right? Or whatever. It could be anything. Could be anything. On the flip side, and it kind of ties back in a loop to that number 1 block, we can be expecting perfection from ourselves, right? So
Hmm.
again, putting that pressure on, you know, expecting yourself to be perfect on the dates, perfect looking, perfect whatever. Right?
Right.
It kind of has a double-edged sword, as you would say, to it, right? But that expecting perfection, like really at the end of the day, there are certain things that most women want that are commonalities, right? They want a very kind-hearted person that's going to care for them, love them, cherish them, listen to them, you know, see them, actually see who they are, right? So yes, there are other requirements that may be important to you. Like for instance, for me, one of my requirements would be must love travel because it's such a
Mhm.
big part of who I am. I love traveling the world and the globe. So if I met someone who was great in many areas, but you know, was like, now I'm just going to stay home all the time, that wouldn't work for me. Now, he may be a great person for me to hand off to someone else, right?
Yes.
But would it be my person?
Right.
My person. So again, when we're seeking perfection, are we going beyond those requirements and needs, right? Because those are really the 2 things that you really want to look at. And the wants is icing on the cake.
Right. Right. Thank you so much for sharing that. It has been so enlightening, and it's going to make the life of the ladies so much easier having this distinction between requirements, needs, and wants. That's beautiful. And giving action steps. You gave action steps, you gave examples. So thank you. You are a great teacher. You are a great teacher.
Oh, thank you. You are a great teacher too.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for putting this summit on.
Oh,
Oh, I also wanted to tell your listeners that I have a free gift for them.
yes, I was going to ask you about that. Yes.
Yes, I almost forgot. So,
Oh, I wasn't going to let you.
you weren't gonna let me anyways, right? I would have went by.
No, 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 no.
You know, we were talking about relationship skills and healthy relationship skills. And there's certain relationship skills that you need, in order to get into a healthy relationship. So what I'm giving away is a free training on these relationship skills. And I talk about, dating side, and even when you get into a relationship,
Oh,
what are
great.
the skills that you need? And if you don't have them, how can you get them? So I talk all about that. There's a video training, there's worksheets, there's just everything. And it's a lot of fun just to listen and watch and look at the worksheet and go, and to be honest with yourself and go, wow, I didn't even really know that I needed that. Or now I realize I need to build that muscle. Right? You
Right.
need to build that muscle and get those healthy skills, the intimacy skills, right? Because you want to eventually have intimacy with the love of your life. And really, intimacy is into me, I see, right? So this training is going to help you find out what you need, and it's going to be really super, super helpful.
Oh my God, sounds fabulous. I'm gonna go get it too.
Yeah, go for it.
Yes, I will. Thank you so much. The gift, ladies, is going to be on the description box of this video. So, anyway, thank you. Thank you so much. There is anything else you would like to say just to close it?
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having
Oh,
me
you
on
are
your
welcome.
show.
Pleasure.
You are an inspiration to so many. You really are. You
Oh,
really
thank you.
are.
You
Yeah.
are. You are.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
I guess my parting words is to have faith. Have faith that the love of your life is out there, and you just need to take the right steps to get to them, right?
Yes.
And then you need to take the right steps to attract them into you.
Right. Love it. Love it. Faith.
Okay.
Great way to close it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.